Am I live? Yes, I am. This video is going to be on dreadlocks as spiritual antenna. Now, I just put these on here for yucks, but there is something very receptive, let's say, about growing this type of hair. This does not apply to every single person who grows dreadlocks, obviously. But those who have grown them for spiritual reasons in different faiths and different ways of life over many, many centuries, if not millennia, probably millennia, have stated that dreadlocks have the capacity or the ability to act as spiritual antenna. Now, what does an antenna do? An antenna picks up signals, right? Picks up, right, radio waves, television waves, any kind of waves. The antenna can pick them up. Hold on, I got a cheat sheet here, and to see, I wrote down some notes because I want to get this right. Because saying that dreadlocks are spiritual antenna, that's iffy. So I just wanted to make it clear. Okay, so we each have things in life that we are drawn to. We each have things in life that we're not drawn to, but that become a part of us, be it because of external circumstances or situations, things that we need to incorporate. And I'm talking about physically, and I'm talking emotionally, mentally, spiritually, things that we go through in life. Certain things we are more predisposed to than others. This is true on the genetic level, and it's true on the the biological level, and it's true on the spiritual level. Now, in the spiritual world, let's say, and this is very broad, I know, but this is all my opinion. So we have two kinds of light, all right? We have, and by light, I mean divine influence. We have inner light, and we have light, which is, what did I call it? Surrounding light. In other words, we have light, we have certain powers and abilities that are a part of us, innate, inherently, so to speak, a part of us. And we have other things which we acquire, which we pull down into our being from the outside. And when I say outside, I don't necessarily mean the outside world. I mean that certain ideas or things are not as much a part of us, but through our deeds and actions, our thoughts, our words, we are able to sort of pull them in. In other words, if you have a regular television without an antenna, and I'm talking about way back when, the television would be just static. But if you put an antenna on top of it, it would be able to uh, pull in those television waves and transmit them onto the screen. So the idea of growing dreadlocks as spiritual antenna is this: we each have things that belong to us spiritually, and we each have things that don't belong to us, or that belong to us to a lesser degree. And it's my personal experience that when growing your dreadlocks, you're able to discern a lot. This is true on the physical and social level, and it's true at the level of you figuring out what's important to you. Now, it's still only hair, and I need to reiterate this every single time, and I'm saying it to you guys as much as I'm saying it to me. It's only hair, but it's hair that we, right, people who grow dreadlocks for spiritual reasons, we have attributed a certain significance, a certain sacredness to the dreadlocks. And in doing so, we have basically designated them as a kind of spiritual antenna, if we choose to see it that way. So, growing these as spiritual extensions of yourself from your highest place, right, above the mind, above the brain, rather, the topmost part of your being, your physical being, if you decide to grow these spiritual antenna, you'll be able to pull certain things into your life, into your being, into your psyche, if you are so inclined. Now, what did I write? Okay, so dreadlocks as spiritual antenna is something that I know is very prevalent in the Hindu, right, the Brahmin traditions. I'm not very versed in them, so I really won't get into it. I'll just say that I know that there are certain techniques and ways of tying one's dreadlocks, of wrapping one's dreadlocks, which facilitates certain spiritual growth or flow of energy. I think this is also true to the Sikhs, although I'm not exactly sure. there's a good chance that the Sikhs, part of them, do have dreads or don't have dreads. I don't recall. I studied a little bit about the Sikhs because I found their traditions and their way to be very much something I could get into, were I not. Well, it's a very interesting way to live. The articles of faith that they wear, the hair that they grow in the turban. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the Sikhs are commanded, or it's their custom rather, to keep the hair clean and neat. It might mean that they don't have dreadlocks. It's a shame that I don't recall. I don't think they do, but they do grow the hair as a spiritual manifestation, as a spiritual expression, and as a way to connect the spiritual and the physical. And there's my man, what's his name? Skittish, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, a fellow YouTuber. I think that's him. If it's not him, then I'm mixing him up with someone else, and forgive me. But whoever it is, I'll look up the video that I recently saw, and I'll link it down there or in the card, because this guy was talking about how dreads are spiritual antenna, and he was actually demonstrating tying them in a certain way in order to bring about a certain state of being. And I'm very, very much into that. I do believe that the hair can act as an extension of yourself. And even more than that, it's an extension of yourself that has the ability to pull things right from that surrounding light, the things that are outside of you. I'll give you a great example of this. People talk about halos. People talk about auras. People talk about things that are around us, but are not exactly a part of us. They are and they aren't. It's there and it's not there. These are the kinds of energies that I'm talking about when I say that dreadlocks can act as spiritual antenna. And I'll give you an example from my experiences. When I took my Nazarite vow and I decided to let my hair grow naturally, throughout the years and the months and the years that followed, I was able to, as I mentioned in previous videos, I was able to have them act as kinds of filters for my own behavior. Is this what I want to be doing right now? Are these the words I want to say? Is this how I want to act? And it acted as a kind of filter. So an antenna, in this case, would be me questioning in a positive way, bringing into question my own being and my own conduct. And maybe if I didn't have that hair, which is a covenant to me, there's a good chance that that would not have happened. But when I have something physical on the top of my head, constantly with me, reminding me of my oath, right? My covenant, my vow, reminding me of who it is that I actually want to be, even though I'm not there yet, reminding me that there are things on top of me, outside of me, that I'm shooting for. I mean, things that are not part of my life yet that I want to acquire, certain manifestations of the divine and revelations, and that I want to incorporate into my being, into my psyche. Even if I haven't done it yet, these dreadlocks can help me understand where to get it from. I've the way that I learn, Torah, my spiritual teachings has changed. And I know for a fact that I would not be raising my kids the way that I am had it not been for me growing this hair this way. Now, just to be clear, my vow does not only incorporate the hair. It's mainly about the hair, as far as I'm concerned, externally, but there's a lot of it that's not shown and that's not as obvious, let's say, as dreadlocks. Dreadlocks are simply the most obvious thing. They are the most physical thing, I suppose, about this vow, because it's something that grows naturally every single day. Other facets of this vow, I guess they do grow as well, but it's not as obvious. So when I have this on my head, and not just when it's in this little hairdo, this was just a little improv for the sake of the... Not right now, please. Be patient. Thank you. Not right now, please. Be patient. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to say goodbye and good day. To those of you out there who are growing dreadlocks for spiritual reasons, I strengthen you and I embolden you. Keep doing your thing. It's important. It's only hair. It's just physical. It's just material. It will die and it will decay with the rest of me. But so long as it is on my head with my intentions behind it, and so long as it helps me to govern the way that I the way that I act, and that it helps me become a better person, then it is much more than physical. It is much more than material, external. It's something that's a part of me. So are dreadlocks spiritual antenna? Depends who you ask. Depends how this person is growing them. Depends why they're growing them. In my case, and in many others from what I've seen, most certainly yes. These are spiritual antenna. Let's have a wonderful day.